Hello and welcome to Goddess Resurrection. My name is Britta and I am your host, and today's episode is on remembering your inner power. Let's get into the breath, my beautiful sisters. Eyes open while you are consciously breathing, getting used to being aware, getting used to opening yourself to your duality or multi-dimensionality, because that's what this is all about. And this is also the foundation for ascension or new earth manifestation. Let's start by me sharing one of my favorite sayings with you. It's a Serbian proverb, and it goes like this: Be noble, for you are made of stars. Be humble, for you are made of earth. And so this saying is the truth of what this new earth manifestation and ascension process really is about, right? It's us beginning to walk in both worlds. Not only human, not only spirit, but we are now here to really learn that, yes, we are here to be so noble because we are of stars. It's been proven that we are made of stars, that we are made of whatever this cosmos is made up of. And it's also proven, and we know this, that we are made of the earth. We have these human bodies. And so we have to be humble, because there is always the danger of the ego. There is always the danger of this being the only reality. And so when we really understand what this proverb means, is that, yes, we are made of this earth. Yes, we are in these human bodies. Yes, we've had conditioning. Yes, we've had lack experiences, pain experiences, loss experiences, struggle experiences. Yes. But never forget that on the inside, deep within you, is the potential for this brilliance, for this greatness, for this ability to live through impact, just like stars. Stars take hits all the time. They live on and shine even brighter. And so remembering who you really are is the most important practice, especially now as, and I see it a lot now, that, people really get sucked into the drama, right? People get sucked into the doubt. It's so easy to let the doubt take over. It is so easy to get sucked into the human, the physical suffering. It is so easy to get taken over by the mechanisms, coping, protection, survival, that are all in place. Everybody has them. Everybody has them. And it's those earthly layers, it's those earthly patternings and energies that we are now needing to take responsibility for, in terms of healing, in terms of realizing that these patterns are not the truth. yes, they are a part of human experiences, and we as human beings, we pattern very quickly, right? You do something about a bunch of times over, you're already developing a pattern. Things become patterns very quickly. We pattern so easily. And so in this way, using this to our advantage, right? Understanding that, okay, yes, we pattern very quickly. We can recondition ourselves so easily if we only take a little bit of time away from the distractions, if we only take a little bit of time away from the old stories and place more effort onto the remembering who you really are, remembering that you hold powers within you, remembering that, yes, you are here to be noble. Yes, you have the potential for greatness within you. Yes, you are here to be brilliant. Yes, you are here to shine bright. Who are you not to be, right? We fear the potential of our light. That was actually Mahatma Gandhi. No, it wasn't Mahatma Gandhi. No, it was now I'm blanking. Let me know if you remember. It is not our darkness that we're fearing, it's our light. What's his name? He went to jail. Let me know who it was. I'm sure you can think of it right now. Nelson Mandela. There we go. Right? So it's our conditioning that doesn't want to believe, that doesn't want to trust that we have this potential, that we are extensions of source, that we are this stardust, that we are this divinity. It's the conditioning, it's the ego, it's the old experiences that, yes, of course, we've all had them. But if I would have let my conditioning be the truth of me, I would not be sitting here. I would not be speaking to you. And so therefore, it is absolutely necessary to take time to remind yourself, because this is your job, this is your responsibility, to find these ways in which you can remind yourself that, yes, you are this infinite being, extension of source, divine goddess incarnate. Yes, you are this potential, and that it is now time to remember it more often. It is time to work with it more consciously, more actively. It's like anything else. You want to learn a new language? Well, you're going to practice the language, right? You're going to maybe listen to it every day on like Babbel or something, right? And maybe you're going to take a class and you're going to maybe travel to the country of origin and you're going to practice this language. And the more that we practice it, the more it becomes reality, right? Same with wanting to change the consciousness in and around abundance, right? People listen to podcasts and audiobooks in and around how to think of money differently, how to shift the thinking, how to think like a millionaire, right? How to think in new ways. So we know that we have to retrain ourselves. We know that old conditioning keeps us from what we want. So, therefore, it is just as important to find these ways in which you can remind yourself, to believe, to think, to process, to ponder this concept, which I'm saying concept in quotation marks because, yes, many think it's a possibility, it's a concept, but how do I really know? How do I really know? How can I really trust it? How can I really believe it? Am I making it up? Is it just an imagination? Is it just an illusion? And so that's why it is so important to know the difference between the old ways of thinking, the old ways of believing, the old ways of, almost, childhood in terms of how were you raised? How were you imprinted? Because most people still need to step out of their imprinting from childhood, right? Most people still need to shake these beliefs off that we were taught. So, and finding ways to remember that you have this power inside of yourself. It could be by you listening and watching this podcast. It could be by reading spiritual books or watching movies on spirituality. And it doesn't just have to be spirituality, right? It could be, that movie Heal. It's a documentary, and I think it's just such an amazing movie, such an amazing documentary, right? Where in the beginning of the documentary, they're starting it out with that healing, natural healing, holistic healing, natural healing, shamanic healing, right? These ways, these healing techniques have been with us forever. Western medicine is only about 100 years old. So when Western medicine was developed, the perspective that Western medicine took onto the body was that it's a thing. The body is a thing, it's a machine. And if one part of the machine is out of alignment, then they would try to fix that one part. And this is also how medication was developed, right? To isolate this one part of the thing, the body, and to intend to fix it. And of course, there is so much, right? So much good about Western medicine, but it disconnected us. It disconnected us from the relationship to the body. It disconnected us from the wisdom that comes from the body. It disconnected us from the communication that really wants to be present with the body. And this disconnect is the same as the disconnect from spirit, right? Back in the day, every clan had a healer, every clan had a shamanist, every clan had, some medicine man or a woman, somebody who spoke to the animals, somebody who spoke to the earth, somebody who spoke to the ancestors, somebody who spoke to the stars, or at least could read them or understand them. And so all of that then, as religion rolled in, right? All of that was taken away. All of this innate connection that we all have, all of this innate wisdom and understanding that we all have, it was taken away. And I could go into conspiracy theory here, but I'm not gonna. But so remembering right? Remembering and understanding that, yes, you have to recondition yourself. Yes, you have to put effort into it. Yes, you have to not allow the doubt. Yes, you have to be aware of how it's different from the norm. It's different from what you were brought up with. It's even different from what most people are talking about nowadays, right? Even though there's a huge movement now, this ascension movement, and new earth consciousness is certainly rising tremendously. But still, even people that are on the path, that are super in tune, there is still the doubt, that little voice that says, is this real? Is this real? Or am I just totally delusional? Right? And so this ties on to last week's episode where I touched on logic versus intuition, right? Because again, right, we've placed the mind, we've placed the knowledge, we've placed the IQ, we've placed the intelligence on the pedestal. And that way of making that the leading energy, making that masculine energy, right? This is all patriarchy, not allowing for the soft, not allowing for the sensitive, not allowing for intuition, not allowing for sight, not allowing for foresight or dreams or deeper knowing or wisdom, right? That was all immediately witch work. So we have been systematically conditioned out of the true connection. We have been systematically disconnected, cut off from who we really are. One more example. I am a Viking shaman, and I come from the Viking lineage, and I am also trained in the Viking shamanism lineage. And so Vikings knew. They were super, super spiritual, super connected. They weren't mindless brutes. They were the most evolved civilization on Earth, and still are. Vikings knew that they were stars on the inside. Vikings knew and aimed for godly acclaim while in human form. That's why they lived by the honor code, right? Vikings were the only civilization that never mistreated their slaves. Sure, it was the Dark Ages. Sure, they were, getting as much land as they could. Everybody was, but they never mistreated their slaves. They actually treated their slaves very well. And with time, the slaves earned the right to buy their freedom, right? So the Vikings, again, a civilization that knew that they had the godliness within them. And by living by the honor code, they would reach godly acclaim, meaning ascension. They were already doing ascension way, 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 way before the ego took over. And again, religion rolled in and taught them it was bad. And they weren't allowed to have their own connection to their divinity. They weren't allowed to speak to divinity themselves. So here we are. We are at the brink of this new earth. We are already in this new earth. We are already in this ascension process. And it is important now to remember your inner power and to find ways in which that you can recondition yourself very actively, very intentionally, right? It is your job, it is your role, it is your responsibility. If you care, because there's a feeling within you, because there's a sense within you, because there's a knowing within you that you feel called to it, you kind of sense that it's true, you feel the churning within your soul that yes, this can't be it. Just having a temporary human experience and then you turn to dust and that's it. There's nothing after that. Can't be. And it's actually proven that that's not the case. But again, it's this human conditioning, the masculine energy, the ego patterning that is so strong, so fierce, in wanting to not allow it and wanting to not believe it, right? And I'm saying this in self. I'm not saying this is externally, somebody not wanting you, somebody not letting you. That's a whole nother level. We're not even talking about that. It's about on the inside. You have patterning in place that does not want this shift. You have trauma, you have wounding inside of yourself that fears this shift. You have old memory of this shift not being a good idea because it ended in death. Okay, how many lifetimes have I had where I was burned at the stake or stoned to death or kept in captivity, etc., etc., etc. Endless, endless, endless. And I've had to work through those energies that were of old experience. Oh, it's not a good idea to speak your truth. It's not a good idea for you to speak up. The amount of healing I've had to go through just to be able to speak. And I'm still working on myself. Still, it runs so deep, so deep. I've also had a tremendous amount of lifetimes, but still. There are layers and layers and layers and layers within your being that are fearing, mistrusting, or directly working against your star dust, your nobility, your greatness, your brilliance, in balance to your humbleness, right? Because there is a part that maybe wants to be so great and so brilliant. So maybe it's to be very high in IQ or knowledgeable, or maybe it's to feel very powerful because of a certain success or financial status. But that's ego, and that's not noble. Not that it's bad, but it's still of the ego, and it cannot replace that authentic nobility. It cannot replace that authentic empowerment that comes from your inside, from your stardust, from your soul, from your light, from your eternal being. Nothing external, nothing external can replace that nobility, that authentic power that you hold within. And so catching yourself when you get caught up in the doubt or in the, oh, who cares, or the distractions, catching yourself when you are feeling unsure or insecure, catching yourself, because all of these things are not who you are. It's part of this human character that you're playing. Yes, it's like an actor, right? An actor, a really good actor, embodies the character, right? A really good actor like becomes the character and has these ways of living out this character. But the actor still knows that he is not this character that he's playing. This actor still knows that, he's actually this other person. And when he goes back into the changing room, or when he goes home or she goes home, they come back into their true selves, right? So this balance of walking in both worlds is now becoming a conscious practice. It is not just one or the other. It is not just, oh, I'm going to go to this workshop and I'm totally going to immerse myself and love it. And it feels so good. And then I'm going to go back home and I'm going to step back into my family and into my role and into the dynamics that were there before, and then collapse back into the patterns. Right? It's really understanding that it's logic and intuition. It's stars and earth. It's being humble and noble. It is being the true self, the soul self, and this human character that you get to play. Right? And so then think of it in this way, that you want to play this human character in the best way possible, which means you want to get into some kind of an alignment, some perimeters for yourself as to, are you changing your moral boundaries for yourself? Are you leveling up your standards? Are you connecting back into your sensing of your truth, your feeling of your wisdom? Are you going deeper into yourself? And when this human character that you're playing has a hard time, that's when it's most important. That's when it's most important for you to remember that yes, even though you might not be able to feel it in that moment, you are that stardust. That in this moment when you might not be able to feel it because you're struggling, or you're just in a moment of suffering or emotional purging, that in that moment, you allow yourself to be in this human experience. And that moment, you allow yourself this processing, this emotional flooding. And at the same time, you want to make sure that you begin to learn to not lose sight of that. It's really not who you are. It is just something that you're experiencing on this journey of growth. It is something that you're having to live through, perhaps because of karma. It is something that you on a soul level agreed to. And why? You will know when you leave this body. Why? You will know when you go back home. But it is really in those moments where you are choosing to go deeper. Don't let the vulnerability shut you down. or trigger you into distraction. But instead, remember that it's those moments of vulnerability, it's those moments of struggle, it's those moments of despair that strengthen us. Those are the moments that dig up the old energies. Those are the moments that elevate us not only into this freedom. When I say freedom, it's not about external. When I say freedom, it's an internal freedom. The freedom from the character, the freedom from the conditioning, the freedom from the old beliefs, the freedom from all of that energy patterning that has disconnected us, the things we were taught, the things we were shown, whether it was by parents, caretaker, or in school. We now know, it's again, it's proven that humanity has been here so much longer than what we were taught in history class. And again, there is so much evidence for who we really are if we choose to look for it. If we choose to stay open to this reconditioning of ourselves. And it doesn't mean that you're drinking the Kool-Aid. It doesn't mean that you're having to subscribe to a certain belief or scripture. It does not mean that you have to join a cult. No. You have that access within you. You have your stardust within you. You have the power of your light within you. You are creator incarnate. You don't need for anybody or anything to tell you for you. You don't need anybody to speak to spirit for you. It's you. You already are it. And this is what needs to be strengthened, the realization that you are already it. Right? And that's not going to happen in normal circumstances. It's not going to happen in most people's environments. It's not going to happen in, right, day-to-day situations or family units. And so it's a very unique and very individual and very intimate process to trust yourself, to go deeper into the remembering, to find the movies, to find the podcasts, to find the books, to find the documentaries, to find the research that helps you confirm new conditioning, that helps, like I've said, right? We pattern very easily. We pattern very quickly. You know, so to intentionally repattern yourself into trusting yourself more, into listening to yourself more, into allowing your intuition to be your soul's communication, to choosing to not let the doubt steer you away from it, only to then later on in hindsight say to yourself, oh, I wish I would have listened to myself. I wish I would have listened. I wish I would have done it, right? Happens all the time. And so for you to really acknowledge that it's up to you and it's repetition. You learn a language, through repetition. You repattern your conscious belief in and around money and your subconscious belief in and around money through repetition. Repetition, repetition, repetition. The subconscious learns like a child. The subconscious learns through imagery and repetition, just like a child. That's why children, when they learn the alphabet, for example, they say it over and over and over and over and over and over, and all of a sudden they remember it. And it's no different with a new language. It's no different with changing your thinking or consciousness. And it's no different with opening yourself to yourself, reconnecting into your body, reconnecting into your soul, reconnecting into your intuition, reconnecting into the reverence to your stardust self, the reverence into the divinity that you are a part of. Modern science has been proving the oneness of us all for decades. Decades. One of the best movies, also a documentary. What the bleep do we know? You should watch that. If you've watched it before, watch it again. You have to think of it as conditioning yourself, patterning yourself, opening yourself. It's your job. Only you can do it. Don't wait for some magic to happen and for you to wake up being open one morning all of a sudden. That's not going to happen. Yes, your higher self is working for you and with you. Yes, your soul is working on your evolution and bringing forth the experiences that are meant to teach you so that you learn your lessons and so that you can step into your growth. Of course. But the new earth is here. This ascension is happening. It is way on its way, and it is your job, it is your responsibility to reconnect to yourself, to reopen to yourself, to remember your inner power, to remember who you really are. The infinite, eternal part of you that is playing this human character, letting go of the victim stories, letting go of blaming others, letting go of saying, I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to enjoy myself now. I don't care what happens tomorrow. Letting go of these old ways of staying in disconnect. Because that's all ego. That's all the illusion. The ego wants to keep us in this separation, the separation from each other, the separation from the body, the separation from our soul self, the separation from other humans, the separation from the earth, the separation of the other universes and galaxies and civilizations. And you, it's up to you to remember, to fortify, to nurture, to repattern yourself into something that is deeper, into something that is higher than this earthly 3D me, my, I experience. Good. I am grateful for your presence. I am grateful for your energy. I am grateful for your time, and I'm grateful for your light onto this planet. And as always, I'm sending love and light blessings to you and yours. Hugs and kisses. Ciao.